state of Louisiana, and today we're going to take a look at some of the Cardladder Indexes to figure out what's going on with basketball cards generally, and then figure out what's going on with certain particular cards that might have been black sheep of the hobby. I think I'm going to show you something that's a little bit surprising, a little bit shocking. So stay tuned. This is not going to be a long video, but every once in a while I like to take a peek at these Cardladder Indexes. They're fascinating. Cardladder is the program that I use to gather all of my sales data so I can make informed decisions in the hobby, but it is significantly more than that. But today we're just talking about these indexes, which are kind of amalgamations of all the different sales data into kind of digestible information. So let me switch you over to screen share. And as you can see in Cardladder, they've got all these different indexes, right? And so you can click into each one of these indexes and figure out exactly which cards are included in those indexes. This was all red the last time we did one of these videos, right? Where I looked at the indexes. Every single category was red the last time I looked at this. Today we got 5 of them that are green. The most indicative one is the Cardladder 50, which is really good because that's sort of an indication of the hobby as a whole. That's the Cardladder 50 is the 50 cards that Cardladder chose that are most indicative of the hobby as a whole. And so it's going to pull from all these other sub indexes that you see below that are red, but those kind of, well, I'll just give you an example. We'll click the Cardladder Index. Here's the types of cards: the Griffey PSA 10, the Tiger Woods Upper Deck Base Rookie, the Trout Update, the LeBron Chrome, the Giannis Prism PSA 10, the Ricky Henderson PSA 9. They use the 9 because the 10's unattainable for most common folk, but that gives you an idea. But that CL50 is up 6% over the last month, which is pretty impressive. I want to look at the last quarter, however, same thing. So it's up about the same, 4 up. Everything else is down. We're going to look specifically at basketball over the last quarter. It's down 10%, but don't get up in arms, right? We're going to take a closer look, and we're going to look at some particular cards to be specific. And so on Cardladder, you can kind of click that index. Well, so now we're in specifically the basketball card index. This index is comprised of 13,837 different sales data points, right? It might not be 13,837 different unique cards, but if it, the same card, if a Doncic Base Prizm 1098, that's 3 cards, right? So 13,837 different data points that they're checking. Here's the sales data where you can look at the aggregate sales prices, and you can see sometimes there's going to be spikes on weekends and things like that. And that's why this looks like a heart monitor, like an EKG result, right? Because you'll see spikes on certain days of the week or certain days of the month where massive quantities of sales end in auction houses or things like that. So those are, I'm guessing, I'm not looking, but I'm guessing those are all going to be weekend days. I don't know if they are or not, but that's my guess. But here's kind of a general rough vision of what it looks like. And look, you can change this to 2 years. And there you can see what happened. We know we had that huge run up towards the first quarter bubble of 2021. And then it actually kept running all the way until March. But it's come down since then. But if we look at the last 3 months, we see the market's down about 9%. Okay, that's fine. Let's go even further within the basketball card index and check on some cards. I've got it sorted by number of sales because this is something that I was just farting around with and that I found very interesting. So not surprisingly, we're going to do this. We're going to get rid of raw cards, and we're just going to plug in PSA 10, and then we're going to sort by up here, and you can see where my cursor is, the number of sales, and we've got it sorted from most to least, right? And so the card that has sold the most over the last 90 days is this Ja Morant Base Prizm PSA 10. And it's not a coincidence. If you look over here on your left, Base Ja Rookie, Base Doncic Rookie, Base Trey Young Rookie, Base Zion Williamson Rookie, Base Ja Moran Optic Rookie, Base LeBron James, first Prism card in a Laker uniform, Base Tyler Hero Rookie, Base Kobe White Rookie, right? You're going to see all the base stuff because that's all the high pop stuff. So let's pull these up one at a time, and I'm going to show you something. We're only going to look at the first 4 or 5 of these, but I want to show you something that you may not have noticed because Base Prizm cards have not been on the radar at all. But somebody's buying them because they are all the top selling cards. A lot of people are trying to get out of them, but a lot of people are, believe it or not, for you to have a consummated sale, there's got to be a buyer on the other end. So somebody's actually wants these Base Prizm cards, and what's going to surprise you, and we're about to take a closer look, is somebody wants them and the prices are going up. I know that sounds crazy, and this is not this is not the arena that I play in. I'm primarily low pop stuff, higher end stuff, Jordan stuff, 90s stuff, maybe early Panini Prism era, early Panini stuff from 2012, 2013, 14, 15. I don't really touch much of this ultra modern stuff, but I want to show you. So there's the Moran base Prism card, right? We've seen it a million times in PSA 10. Over here, I've got the chart pulled up, right? And so I've got it pulled up and showing the last 3 months. This card's pretty steady. Okay, so the card has sold for an average of $165. There's been 418 sales in the last 3 months. And there you go. There's your results. This card is about as steady as it gets, right? So down 3.8%. Anything up or down 5%, I consider relatively flat. I would have thought that this card was on a death march over the last 3 months. The 3 months before that it was, and the 3 months before that it really was. And so it looks like we are finding the floor, and the hobby is digesting this number right here and concluding, okay, this is an eye-popping number. The card used to be worth $1 gazillion, right? The base Prism, look, I'll even show you. Let's pull up the all-time. Let's just pull up 2 years. That's all we need. This base card once sold for $700, $760, $760, $500, $600, $500, and then boom, there it goes, right? We figured out, whoa, wait, there's 20,000 plus of these? That seems like a lot. And so we know this card where it's been, but what we don't know is where it's going, and what we don't know is where the floor is, but I think we're finding that, and that's what this video is about. So this one particular John Morant card we're looking at is down 3.83% on a 418 sales over the last 3 months. Okay, so that card looks flat. So you're like, oh, well, maybe it's just a John Morant thing. You know, he had a great season, led his team to the playoffs. You know, he did his thing. Let's pull up the card that best represents the hobby explosion over the last 2 or 3 years as far as an influx of demand, an influx of hobby participants. It's this 2018 Doncic Base Prizm Rookie card, right? I once had 175 of these cards. I graded all of them. I flipped them. I moved them. I made great money on this. I am not the only one. Many people did, but just as many people got murdered on this card because, as I said before, for me to sell the card, somebody's got to come in and buy the card. So we've got the Doncic 18,730 pop, and I just did a kind of a enlightening expose video on just how many Doncic 2018 cards are out there, how many have been graded, and how many we think might have been printed. So that video is coming out soon. You'll catch that video on the Luka Nation network. But you can see, here's the Doncic card. That looks like it's going up. Am I crazy that over the last 3 months, the Luka Doncic base Prism rookie card, pop 18,730, is going up? It's up 17%. Did you ever think we would see this time? Not only have we found the floor for the Doncic base Prism, the card over 215 sales is up 17%. 215 data points is not an accident. That's not just a happenstance. That's not, an anomaly. That's a pretty substantial amount of data. So the card was about $321 on June 20th. The card last sold for $377. That's real money. That's a real change. That's a $50 aggregate change. We can look down here. The starting price $321, the current price $377, and it shows you that growth. So up 17% for the Doncic base Prism. Okay, well, what about Trey Young, right? That's his rookie classmate. That's the guy that poor Trey Young is always going to be compared to Doncic, and he's always going to come up short, or at least that's my opinion. A great player in his own right nonetheless, but let's check out the Trey Young. Okay, so we've seen that the John Morant's flat, and there's been a zillion sales. We've seen that the Doncic is up 17% over the last 3 months, and there's a zillion sales. What about this 2018 Trey Young card? Great picture, by the way. Often gets overlooked because there's so many of them. He's pop 11,607, right? So much less than Doncic. Not because fewer were printed. It's just because from day one, everybody graded all the Doncic, and there was such a huge margin. So Trey's just not been graded quite as much. Will his pop catch Doncic one day? I don't know. At $22 per card, maybe it will, maybe it won't. I don't know. Or maybe he's just a tougher gem rate than the Luka Doncic. That's also quite possible. Maybe Luka graded better because of where he is on the sheet or how much better centered he is. I don't know. But 11,000 is still a hellacious quantity of cards out there. What has the Trey Young done over the last 3 months? You're not going to believe this. He's up 10%. So just like we saw with Doncic, the Trey Young 2018 Prism, which is crazy high pop, super high pop, is up 10% as well. So we've hit the floor with Trey Young as well. Okay, so Trey Young's up. Doncic is up. What about Zion? Surely not Zion, right? We saw that John Morant was steady. The Zion has sold 3,644 times, so about half as much as the Ja. What about the Zion card? What about this iconic, I shouldn't say the word iconic when I'm referring to a card that's popped 21,608, but what about this recognizable Zion Williamson 2019 Base Prizm? What has this card done? Same thing, just like the Ja. Despite the fact there's 20,000 of them, it looks like we might have hit the floor. Now, this is a little different looking than the Ja chart, right? Here's the Ja chart. That truly does look relatively flat over the last 3 months. The Zion looks like it's sort of concave. It looks like it sort of went up, and people were like, oh, I'm back in on Zion, but now it sort of looks like it's coming down. And if we switch to a month, you'll see, yeah, it's down 4%. But still, like I said, anything up or down 5%, to me, that's stable, right? Even with this many data points, that's still kind of stable. What about the Ja Optic PSA 10 base rookie card? What has that card done? Let's see. Here it is over the last month. It's up 1%. Over the last 3 months, it's up 10% almost, 9.75%, 143 sales. Again, that's enough data points that we can conclude that something is happening here, okay? That's interesting to me. That's not a low pop card, 8,886. The hobby is voicing its opinion on where the price point on these cards is. Over the last 18 months, we've been trying to figure it out. And I say I'm not buying or selling this card. I don't own this card, but the hobby is kind of trying to figure out where do these cards belong. Realize this is under $100 for a John Morant rookie card. And it all hinges on that number. This is not an expose on John Morant or his game or his development or what people think his future is. This is all about the number that I have highlighted on your screen. That's all these cards are, is how much is too much, where does the price of these cards stabilize, and then we go from there, right? And maybe they'll uptick, maybe they'll downtick based on performance. But right now, none of this has anything to do with performance because John Morant did everything anybody could have expected with his team, and actually his team overachieved. Luka Doncic is a first-team All-NBA player for the third time, and he's like 15 years old. Trey Young has done anything and everything, top 5 in the league, I think, in points and assists, which is nuts for a 5'3" person. Zion Williamson is back. The hype is running, right? Everybody wants to buy back into Zion. Some people want to get out and kind of hedge that risk from an injury perspective. But how about LeBron James? Surely all of the people that were duped into thinking the 2019 LeBron James first Laker jersey Prism card, surely those people who thought it was a good investment, this card can't possibly be going up, right? It's popped 13,519. It's a $23 card. Okay, let that sink in. Yes, $23. It costs $22 to grade with PSA. But no matter how many you make, there is a number out there where if it gets to that number, people think this is a good investment. And apparently the hobby again has spoken on this 2019 LeBron James Laker PSA 10. The card's up 35%. The card once was selling for $17. Again, this might be a little misleading because remember, on all these percentages, you're looking at beginning data point and ending data point. But let's just shrink it to a month. It's up 14% over the last month. I mean, look at it, it's relatively flat, but it is what it is. It was at $20 and the last one sold at $23. And I know when it's such a small amount, if it goes up $2 or $3, that matters. And it's not enough aggregate dollars to make money. So that's not what I'm getting at. My point is, what I'm trying to get at is the last 84 sales of this card have been relatively steady, slightly up. The last 3 months have been up 35%. That's not an anomaly. That's a lot of data points. That's 193 sales. And so I just wanted to kind of shed some light on that. Let's see what Tyler Hero's done. I'm assuming he's down actually. Yeah, so he's down 5%. But again, that's not nearly as much as I thought he would be down. I thought he'd be down a hellacious amount, right? We know he's come down like 100% or something crazy over the last year. What is it? Down 50% over the last year. I mean, these cards were selling for, $100 and now they're selling for what? $30. Apparently there's people out there that are picking up these bargain bin type cards. I just kind of wanted to shed some light on that and let you guys know that don't forget about these cards. You may not want them for your collection, but there's going to be kids coming into the hobby, right? We're always talking about, well, what is my kid going to buy? Well, your kid very likely could identify with Tyler Hero. There ain't a lot of white dudes playing in the NBA that are American born that are kicking ass. And Tyler Hero is one of them. And I don't say that having anything to do with racist or racism or anything, but, a bunch of little white kids in America might want to collect Tyler Hero. You ever think about that? I was a little white kid in America, and I wanted Rex Chapman back in the 90s because he looked like me. He could jump out the gym. I loved the way he played. He had swag. He had flair. Tyler Hero is the same kind of deal, man. He can't jump like Rex Chapman, but he's the Rex Chapman of the late, 2000s. Some of these base cards, people may want John Morant, right? There might be a little point guard out there playing in AAU basketball. John Morant's his favorite player. This is that 13-year-old's way to get into the hobby. His dad can buy him a John Morant base card, for $149. He couldn't buy him a John Morant base card when it was $300, but he could now. Same thing with the Luka Doncic, the Trey Young. The fact that the Trey Young's under $100, that seems a little strange to me. Trey's done things Ja has not. Trey's under $100. He's popped 11,000. John Morant's 150 and he's popped 21,000. That's one disparity that I'm going to call out. That doesn't seem right. If I was going to buy one of these base cards, which I never would, I would definitely buy the Trey Young over the John Morant because we know there was probably twice as many John Morants printed. If the pop is almost twice as much in an era where the cost of grade was almost twice as much, we know that the print run is significantly higher for 2019 than 2018. Plus, we've got enough historical data from Panini to know they're not going to shrink the print run from one year to the next until people tell them enough is enough and stop buying it. But what I'm getting at is these little baby base cards, there is a place for these cards in the hobby. And with new sales platforms like Whatnot and other places where you can sell little baby cards and make, $11 profit margin, and, maybe or maybe not pay taxes, the people that are selling those little cards here and there, or maybe it shows you sell 6 of these commodity John Morant base cards in one deal and you make $75. Those are moves to be made, and that's how cardboard empires have been made in the past, right? On margins, but small margins, but a large aggregate and a large volume, a large quantity of sales. So this is just something I just kind of wanted to talk to you guys about and just shed a little light on it, that it looks like we might have found the bottom of the Base Prizm Rookie Card PSA 10 in the ultra modern collecting world, which I never thought I would see. Let me know what you think in the comments. I don't own any of these cards that we just showed on this screen today. Not a single one of them. None of them. Let me know what you guys think. Is there any point in time where you would ever consider buying back into these cards? Is there, and more importantly, do you think there's a point in time where the hobby generally re-embraces these cards the way that we did the first time that these things came out? I'll be the first one to tell you, like I said, I bought 150 of those Doncic Base Prizm Rookie cards, and I graded every single one of them, cleaned them, wiped them down, graded them, sold my 9s, held my 10s, and then, I didn't time it perfectly, right? But I timed it really well and sold all of my Base Prizm PSA 10s in one fell swoop to a, investor out in California and did great on it. Is there ever going to be another time where people are going to jump back into these base prisms and say, you know what, I'll take 10 of those. I'll take 10 of those Trey Youngs at $95. I'll take that chance because I think those could run to 1,700. Again, is it an investor card, or is this a deal where these cards are finally getting to a price point where collectors want to put these little base Prism cards, collectors on a budget want to put these base PSA 10 Prism cards in their collection because they didn't think they could before? I think it's primarily investors, but it is good to see that if there's a kid out there who wants to collect, LeBron James Lakers cards, he can pick this up for $23. If he wants to collect a Tyler Hero, he can pick it up for $30. If he wants to invest in Kobe White or RJ Barrett, he can do it for $9.50 for a PSA 10 Kobe White rookie card. The guy averaged like 25 points a game for about a 20-game stretch in the NBA. That's insane. It costs $22, $25 with shipping and insurance to grade a Kobe White card, let alone get one in a PSA 10 slab for less than half price. That seems low even to me. And again, there's not enough dollar aggregate volume here for me to make a move into any of these cards. But if you think RJ Barrett's your guy, you can pick him up for $27. Anyway, sorry, I wasn't screen sharing there, but you guys get the gist. There's cheap base Prism out there that can be had for really low value, lower than the cost of grade cards. It's just amazing how much the hobby's changed in the last 18 months. But I thought this was a good sign that we finally seen the bottom I think of these 2018, 2019, 2020 base Prism PSA 10 cards. And so let me know your comments below. Let me know your thoughts. Again, you guys, some of my more, I'm going to have kind of split content. I'm going to do some of these little baby videos on my channel because I know so many of you guys love to watch the stuff that I put out on this channel. Some of the bigger videos, my PWCC Weekly Recap's going to appear on the Luca Nation Network. If you haven't followed that channel, follow that channel. That's where you're going to get my Monday PWCC Weekly Auction Recaps and my PWCC Premier Auction Recaps, and then the Explore the Card episodes where we take a deep dive into the Michael Jordan cards from the 90s. You're going to get those episodes every Friday on the Luca Nation Network as well. So follow them on all podcast platforms and Instagram, and especially on YouTube, since that's probably what you're watching here today. So anyway, as always, I appreciate your time watching the video. I don't take any of you guys for granted. If you like the stuff that I put out there, do me a favor, consider just copying the link and texting it to your buddies and say, hey man, this guy talks about some interesting off-the-wall stuff. He checks a bunch of different boxes in the hobby. It is primarily basketball, but you're about to get some soccer content coming very soon because I'm a soccer dad. I have a soccer family, lots of soccer in our family, and I finally took the plunge and started buying some soccer cards. And so I'm going to label all those thumbnails very clearly for you guys. And so all of you basketball lovers such as myself don't have to waste time figuring out it's a soccer video. The thumbnails are going to be labeled with a soccer banner. And if you're into soccer, welcome to Cajun Cardboard. You're going to hear a lot more about it. And I'm going to show you some really cool soccer cards that I've been picking up lately. Stay tuned for those videos. They're coming in the very near future. Anyway, thank you guys for watching. Keep collecting. Stay positive in the hobby. Peace.